Did it work?
Yeah, we are live.
Are we?
Yes. Welcome, everyone.
It's not coming through yet.
Yeah, there's a delay. There's a little bit of a delay.
Why is there a delay?
Listen, there's some things that we say that there's got to be a built-in delay so I can cut it.
Through. Oh, you have the cough button?
I've got the delay, the hit in case you say something not politically correct or anything. Anyway.
All right.
Welcome back. Episode 5. I'm surprised we're still doing this.
24 subscribers.
Your brother. We got some chatting.
We got 5 watchers. We're gonna get some chat going on.
Man. So welcome back.
I don't know that they like the podcast as much as giving us a hard time via the chat.
They want to see our reactions.
All right.
And maybe that could be funny. I don't know.
Just keep in mind there's a delay because Joe has a delay on.
Yep. Anyway, so today we got some stats to talk about. Stats. Every episode we start with stats from the previous episode.
That's why we dropped a little bit of a drop. However, since I've took out all the segments and posted them on YouTube, this is boring.
It's now easier to watch, and we've gotten a lot of views on the smaller segments. So anyway, for today,
20,
more than 20. Tyler, you're such a pessimist. Anyway, so for today, we've got a bunch of stuff to go over. One is another story of mine that I like to call the baseball game. It's a great story. You guys are going to love it.
All right.
Then we go into a looking back at childhood cartoons.
Looking back.
We had, I think it was on the second episode, we talked about a lot of childhood cartoons, and we saved it.
Yeah, you got to save it.
We saved it.
Good stuff, because childhood cartoons aren't where they used to be, in my opinion.
I agree.
I don't think that's just me getting old either.
And when I was compiling the list, I watched a lot of cartoons.
I didn't watch as many as him.
Anyway, then we have top 5 presidents, in our opinion, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure we're going to get a lot of flack for the lists. I know I'm going to get a lot of flack, probably.
From me or from our
audience?
Just
probably in general, because there's a pattern to mine.
Oh, gosh.
Anyway.
Underachieving?
No.
Oh.
These are all great presidents.
Look, there's like 3 presidents that should be on everyone's top 5 list, and if they're not,
yeah.
And then maybe there's room after that.
Yes. And I think we've got the same 3.
We'll see.
Probably in a different order.
We'll see. And
then obviously Tyler's weekly rant at the end, which I know everyone loves, the weekly rant.
Oh,
people appreciate it.
This is a rant. Like last week's rant was pretty controversial. This week's rant, I think a lot of people are going to agree with.
We'll see. There's not many rants that I think people agree with you on.
Hey, you ditched Joe had headphones on right before. He's like, I'm wearing headphones. He didn't provide me any. He just said, well, I'm wearing headphones. Hey. And he wore them for the whole 10-minute pre-show thing we did. And then guess what?
I think it would look weird.
There was a buzz in there.
No, I think I would look weird if I were wearing headphones and you weren't.
We have a comment already that maybe the best is William Henry Harrison.
No.
I do want to give. Well, let's wait till we get to the
press.
Let's hear Joe's story.
Okay.
Because I have a little teaser. I got a comment. I got a little quiz for Joe on presidents before we start that segment.
Oh Lord, I didn't study. Not going to be good. Joe's story of the week. Titled "The Baseball Game." So this happened when I was a freshman in college, 2001. So this was after 9/11. It was the first St. Louis Cardinals baseball game after 9/11.
What do you mean the first?
So
the season home opener?
No. So I know there was a delay.
Oh no, you're right.
There was a delay.
It was the first game in Busch Stadium after
9/11. Yes.
Right.
Okay. And so this was before I met my wife. So I was on a date, and it was an early date, like first or probably second date. I can't remember.
You're on a date with your wife?
No. Not with my wife. This was before I met my wife. This was freshman year of college.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So I was on a date and watching the baseball game, having a good time. I decided to have what I think was called a big kahuna. Do you know what a big kahuna is?
It's a large drink.
No.
Are you talking about the alcoholic?
No.
What's a Big Kahuna?
Big Kahuna is a monster-size ice cream sandwich.
Ball games are way too expensive to go to, so I don't go very often.
I don't think they have them anymore.
Okay, monster ice cream sandwich.
Monster cookie ice cream cookie.
How's your lactate tolerance?
That's part of the story.
Okay, anyways.
So, for those of you who don't know, I am lactose intolerant. Bigly lactose intolerant. So I have this ice cream sandwich, probably the 7th inning.
You knew at that point you were lactose intolerant? That point in your life?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
so you ate this knowing potential problems.
Oh, well, I still do.
And you did that on a date?
I did it on a date. So
then you deserve what's
coming.
coming.
7th inning, okay? 7th inning.
7th inning stretch becomes, well, go ahead.
So we get it to the 8th inning. We decided to leave. We were with, it was me, my date was driving, and then a couple in the back with us, okay? And so we were heading back to Edwardsville, or we thought we were, okay?
So you left the game early?
Left the game early, and we were driving. And, as soon as
Who was driving?
My date was driving.
So you let the lady drive?
It was her car.
I know, but why wouldn't you use your vehicle and
I
drive?
didn't have a vehicle.
You didn't have a vehicle. You
Not
didn't
at the time.
own one, or then what happened? Okay, so in high school you said you had this like Tempo.
That was my dad's car that I used.
Okay, but you didn't have a car at college.
No.
You were driving at that time.
I had a car probably end of my freshman year.
You didn't have. How did you get to school?
I lived on campus.
Who? Your mom and dad dropped you off?
Yes, and I rode back home with my friends.
So you.
Thank you, Nicole Norris.
You mooched rides off of people?
Yes.
Why didn't you get a job, you bum, and get a car?
I did have a job. I worked on campus as a student programmer.
Oh, good grief! All right,
but I didn't have a car until later.
So
anyway,
you got picked up by a girl for a date. Lame sauce. Keep going. Using one of your terms there. Lame sauce.
Lame sauce. Okay, so we're driving on the way back, but apparently we were going the wrong way. We were going on 70 west instead of 70
Now you're saying your
east.
date was a bad driver.
I'm saying that she took the wrong turn and we didn't realize it.
Maybe if you would have been driving.
Maybe so. But, on the way to the car before we went the wrong way, I started feeling a little rumbly in my tumbly. Feeling a little not so good. So we get probably 10 minutes going the wrong direction, and we've got to stop. Like, I've got to go to the bathroom. Bad. To the point where, I'm sweating, and I'm focused.
Were you stiffening your legs?
Yes.
And pushing on the floorboard of the car?
Yes. And I was solely focused on, I don't want to go in my pants. It was that bad. So we exited the interstate in a fairly shady part of town, okay? And
Kings Highway, where are you at?
I'll get to that point. That's part of the story.
All right.
Anyway, we exited the highway. We saw a gas station, okay?
At this point, did anyone else in the vehicle know?
Everybody knew.
Or everybody
knew. I did not make it a secret. I don't care.
Oh, you told
Everyone
them.
poops. Everyone poops.
Were you letting out any air to
No.
some room?
Never trust a fart. You can't when you're in that type of distress. You can't trust it.
All right.
Anyway, so we exit the interstate at a gas station. I go inside, restroom not for public use, not even for customers.
This was where?
At a gas station.
Oh, gas station.
I run across the road because there's a Hardee's across the road. It looked like it was open. It was locked. It was closed.
Okay.
I'm freaking out. So we get back in the car. I get back in the car. At this point, it's bad. Like, I'm probably going to go in my pants. Okay?
How long is this story?
I'm almost done.
All right.
Okay? We get back on the interstate.
We get the point.
We get
you
back
went on a date. You made her drive. You got to poop. You're looking for a bathroom.
Yep. So we get to a point where I'm like, I see a Steak and Shake. Steak and Shake's open 24/7. They have a public restroom.
Boy,
Let's
I've seen
exit.
some Steak and Shake restaurants.
We're exiting. We're at a 4-lane exit at a 4-lane highway stoplight. 2 lanes going this way, 2 lanes going that way, okay? I'm like...
For those of you watching on camera, 2 lanes are going like this and 2 are going like that.
I couldn't wait. I got out of the car, ran across 4 lanes of traffic into an open field behind a bush.
You went to a field?
Behind a bush and let it go, okay? So I'm about to finish when I hear something rustling in the other side of the bush saying, "Hey, who's there? Who's over there?" It's a cop. I'm right by the airport. Like, I look over here, there's the fence to the airport.
Wait a minute. What? How did you... Okay, I'm gonna comment here. For those of you who don't live in the St. Louis area or aren't as familiar with it,
I can show you.
Busch Stadium.
Yep.
This would have been Old Busch Stadium, but same spot.
Yep.
Busch Stadium is nowhere near the airport.
I know. We went that far out of the way.
But not only would you go west, which you said you went wrong and went west, you also would have had to go way north.
We were on 70. We were on 70.
Oh, that is shady.
Yes.
That's really shady.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So there's this cop on the other side of the bushes saying, "Hey, what are you doing over there?" And so I get out and I talk to him like, "I'm sorry, I couldn't hold it." He's like, "I could arrest you for indecent exposure. You're right by the airport. I could arrest you now."
Wait, where did the cop come from?
There's a outbuilding where I guess the people who patrol the perimeter of the airport haven't
You were that close to the fence?
Yes.
How close to the fence? Give me
50 yards. 100 yards. 50 yards.
That's not that close.
But I'm close enough where they're like,
so
"What are you doing?"
Wait, did he see you pooping or hear you pooping?
He heard me, and I guess he saw me run across the road.
What did he hear?
I don't know what he heard.
Was it the exit sound, or was it some grunting, or
no? I probably
relief.
Probably finishing. Anyway,
how did you clean up?
The compatriots in the car had napkins, and they gave me some napkins.
Okay.
Anyway,
this is up there for worst date. I'm just gonna say
it was.
You made her drive.
Yep.
The poor date takes a wrong turn. Then you tell her you gotta go poop in the woods or in the whatever.
It was an open field with a high level bush.
She has to hand you napkins.
She didn't. Quentin, if you're still out there, he was my roommate in freshman year. He handed me some napkins. We need
a roommate call in on this to talk to Quentin.
I will have Quentin comment when I post this video on Facebook.
All right.
He will back my story.
All right.
She ended up dating me for another 1.5 years or so. So it couldn't have been that bad of a date. Just saying. I can't make that up. It happened.
I could make some comments, but I won't out of respect
what do you think?
For the lady.
She was crazy. To date me. To date me, yeah.
Once again, Joe, it's just the way that you handle things in your life that is just a little different, I think, sometimes. I think adult of our age probably has experienced that can't wait, gotta go now feeling. Mm-hmm. So I don't fault you for that. I do say it's your own fault because you chose to eat the, what was it called? Big Kahuna ice cream when you know you're super lactose intolerant.
I know.
You're asking for it.
I know. I'm not making any excuses.
And you don't do it on a date. You just don't do it.
Live and learn. Live and learn. So that was this week's Joe story. We have a good one for next week too. We got a lot of Joe stories.
Okay.
So, looking back, last week we did Dead Wrestlers. This week we're going to be doing childhood cartoons. So these are the cartoons that we watched when we were kids.
When we were childs.
When we were childs.
You mean children?
Children, kids, when we were younger. I composed this list of ones that I know I watched. So let's.
So you said you have like a huge list.
Yeah.
So go through it. I'll comment. I'll add in. Once you tell me, I'm sure there's some weird ones you've watched, but go ahead.
Yep.
If you have 30, you're gonna have to go quick. I'm just gonna tell you.
Darkwing Duck.
Good. Pretty good.
Pinky and the Brain.
Wasn't a huge.
Watched that a lot. The Magic School Bus.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I know what you're talking about, but yeah.
Spider-Man?
Yeah. Nope.
Ren and Stimpy?
Nope.
Scooby-Doo?
A little bit, yeah.
Where are you? Animaniacs?
No.
Really? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Yes, one of my favorite.
That's great. I loved it.
Yeah. Favorite Ninja Turtle?
Leonardo.
Go ahead.
Tom and Jerry?
No.
What?
My brother, I think, watched Tom and Jerry.
The Real Ghostbusters?
I don't remember a cartoon Ghostbusters.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good. Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers?
Good.
Oh, yeah. Tailspin?
Really good.
Oh, yeah. The DuckTales?
Really, really.
Oh,
One of my favorites.
Yeah. Batman, the animated series?
No, not really.
Looney Tunes?
Looney Tunes, that's kind of an umbrella, but yeah, they were...
So I'll get Bugs and Tweety Show.
I don't remember that specifically. I just remember watching Looney Tunes with but obviously the Roadrunner, Coyote episodes, right? And then Bugs is always teasing, what's his name? Elmer Fudd.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yosemite Sam.
Yeah.
All those guys.
Yeah.
Yes, Troy, I did go outside when I was younger. He's asking, did I ever make it outside as a child? Yes, I did. G.I. Joe?
Yeah.
No?
Not really.
No?
No.
Thundercats?
No.
Think
No, a little bit, but no.
Voltron?
Really good.
Really good?
Voltron's awesome.
Have you watched the new ones?
No. I think I tried one time, and I'm just older, and it's hard to get into.
David Sandusky loves Voltron.
Yeah. Voltron, I believe, if you go back, the guy who narrated, or the song, whatever, Voltron, same guy that did Transformers.
Huh.
Same voice. Pretty sure you
I need to go back and look at that.
Pretty sure.
Matt, Foghorn Leg... That's terrible, Matt. He was talking about Foghorn Leghorn. Captain Planet?
Yes, I watched a little Captain Planet.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
our hero. He's going to take
pollution down to zero.
Down to zero.
With our powers combined.
And he's fighting on our planet's side. But anyways.
Yep. Alvin and the Chipmunks?
Alvin, a little bit. Not much.
Okay. Beetlejuice?
No.
Really?
Terrible.
Pink Panther?
No. Little, I mean, just very little. No.
The Jetsons?
I didn't watch much Jetsons. Very popular. I didn't watch much.
Mighty Mouse?
No.
Super Friends?
I don't know what that is.
So it's kind of like Avengers, but from a DC comic standpoint. So it's Batman, Superman, all those guys. Nope.
No.
Okay. Flintstones?
Yes. Not a bad show.
If you say no to this next one, I'm going to shake my head.
Ooh.
Schoolhouse Rock.
No.
What?
I don't even know if I heard of that show.
What? They sing about how to make a bill becomes a law?
I remember that, but I thought that was just like a little introduction thing. That was an actual show?
Yes. There are multiple ones.
I do remember that.
I'm
just a bill. There was like a song, right?
On Capitol Hill.
Yeah, there you go.
Schoolhouse Rock. So Yogi Bear.
Yogi
Bear.
Yogi a little bit. Yogi. Yeah.
Aaron, I have not. I've heard of Underdog. I don't think I've ever seen an episode of Underdog. Aaron's commenting.
Yeah, I've seen that. Underdog sound. Yeah, I don't know if I ever watched it.
Transformers.
No, I didn't watch the cartoon Transformers.
HR Puffin Stuff. What is Puffin Stuff?
I don't know. Are you done? You still?
I'm done. So that's the list I had.
You missed one of my all-time favorites.
Gummy Bears?
Gummy Bears.
I never have seen an episode of Gummy Bears.
Love Gummy Bears. So my top were Ninja Turtles, Gummy Bears, and then DuckTales. And then you get right after that, just the other two that would be like right up next tier would be Tailspin and Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers.
I can't complain about that. I just have never. I can't say I've never seen an episode of Gummy Bears. I don't remember really watching it.
So years ago, when thinking, hey, I'll have kids one day, I bought DVDs of DuckTales and Gummy Bears just to have. Those are the two I bought. Those are my favorites. Yeah. There was also a show, not animated. You said cartoon, more children's show based out of Canada called Under the Umbrella Tree.
I've heard of that one.
I liked it.
I've heard of that one.
It was with puppets.
Yep. So, yeah. Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood kind of isn't a cartoon,
but Mr. Rogers, that's classic.
Or Sesame Street.
Yeah. I feel like when we started talking about this looking back, I feel like cartoons were really good when we were kids.
Yeah.
And then they went through a Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh! Weird phase. I mean, I remember seeing some of those cartoons thinking, I don't want my kids to ever watch this stuff, which is actually part of the reason I bought some of those DVDs. But I will say, having a kid now that's 4, number one, they have a lot more choices because of things like Netflix and Amazon that have some shows. And there's some really good shows. Especially Amazon. There's some neat stuff on Amazon Prime Video. So like my son watches the whole Car City thing. Pretty good. And it's educational. I like it.
Nice.
And, Paw Patrol wasn't bad. He went through a Paw Patrol phase.
Yep.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of Yo Gabba Gabba?
No.
It
sounds familiar.
My daughter, Olivia, loved Yo Gabba Gabba when she was younger.
No.
So what other ones did we forget? Comment in the comments if there are ones that we should have mentioned that we didn't.
I think it's time to go to presidents.
Okay.
Top 5
presidents. U.S. presidents as ranked by Tyler and Joe.
Yep. Whose turn is it to go first? Mine?
I think it's your turn.
All right. We're going to get to it. Now, I want to preface this segment. These are our opinions. They're probably right. Oh, Rocky and Bullwinkle, I will say.
Yep.
That was good.
That was a good one. Good call, Aaron.
My brother says Hamburger Hill. That's a war movie. The thing when I started thinking about presidents is I tried to pick presidents that I feel like had a significant impact on the country in a mostly positive way. I think that's obvious. But one thing I realized while looking back is some presidents are faced with far greater challenges than others.
Sure.
And it's how they respond to those, fairly or unfairly, that gives them an opportunity to be ranked higher, right?
Yep.
Some, and I think there's presidents that aren't on my list that have done a fair job given really tough circumstances. But
that's
they
fair.
weren't on my, top.
Yeah, presidents are pretty much a thankless job, in my opinion. You can't please everyone.
Yep. All right, ready?
Yep, go for it.
Number 5 is Joe's hero, Thomas Jefferson.
Love TJ.
I'm guessing this is his number 1.
Love
You don't have
Thomas
to say
Jefferson.
it, but I'm just guessing. We'll start with the pluses. I struggled to figure out who I'd want number 5, who was worthy for number 5. Jefferson, I have some issues with some of the things he did. He claimed to be a small government guy. He grew government greatly. He did.
I've got some stats.
It's factual. He claimed that he wanted to minimize the power of the presidency. In fact, he increased it. One of the things I give him credit for is the Louisiana Purchase, which more than doubled the size of the country. But the ironic thing about it is he didn't even know if he could do it legally. He just did it. He just, he's I'm the president, which is totally against.
Not exactly.
That's
not exactly how it happened. I know how it happened.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. And he used Alexander Hamilton's finance system to finance it, which he was supposedly against, right? Small government thing. He used that to finance it.
I'll correct Tyler's inaccuracies when I go.
Yeah, well, that'll be at the end because So anyways, Jefferson, first term really good. Second term, not so good. In fact, he hated being the president so much, he left it off of his tombstone. You don't even see that he was the president on there. So, yeah, he was pretty miserable his second term. Even he wasn't happy. Challenge that, Joe. Bring up a picture of the headstone.
I'm not going to challenge that he didn't like it, but...
Number 5, who you got?
Number 5, Calvin Coolidge. Okay? Here's how I picked mine.
You just like it because he has cool in his name.
No.
You want to be cool.
So, a lot of my presidents that I picked have a very free market, laissez-faire view of how to run the country. So Coolidge 30th president during the roaring 20s, had a disdain for regulation. I'm okay with that. Deregulate. He believed lowering taxes would not reduce receipts to the government, but actually increase them. So he reduced taxes to a point where in the roaring 20s, only the wealthiest 2% were actually paying any taxes. Isn't that crazy? And another part that I like, Calvin Coolidge had a streak of libertarian in him to the point where he was weary, or he was reluctant to enter any foreign alliances. He wasn't an isolationist. He was just very careful.
How long can you talk about Calvin? How long can anyone talk about Calvin Coolidge?
Calvin Coolidge.
Good grief.
Gets an A in my book.
Calvin Coolidge.
Calvin Coolidge. Go, Tyler.
Calvin Coolidge. I'm just looking up. There's this, and I don't totally agree with this. There's this political study that had been done, and I don't typically agree with this with some of the people and where they're ranked on this. But Calvin Coolidge is ranked 30 on this list. So, anyways, all right, number 4 for me. Ready?
Go for it.
The Republican hero himself, Ronald Reagan. Ronnie, first of all, just as a person, president aside, loved his humor. Go to YouTube and just type in Ronald Reagan humor. Funny guy. Ronald Reagan was a funny guy. But he kind of, not single-handedly, but he brought down, like the Soviet Union. Communism, right?
He was old school Space Force.
Yeah. That's the thing. We didn't even have it. So there's the interesting story of when they were negotiating with the Soviet Union, that one of the things the Soviet Union wanted was was the U.S. to abandon their, what was called Star Wars program, which we didn't actually have.
Didn't exist.
But Reagan refused to take it down. It was just a chip that he played. And the Soviet Union basically bankrupted themselves chasing after that, right? I mean, plus he ended up, Gorbachev was the Soviet leader then, and, what started out to be a tense relationship, they became kind of friends, right? Reagan, I think the biggest negative stain on Reagan is the Iran-Contra, right? Not his finest moment, but he's not perfect. Never said he was perfect. He's ranked number 4.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing he did was everybody, Reaganomics, trickle-down economics, it actually worked.
I've got some stats.
Oh, you must be on your list. Well, I'll let you go.
Yeah, we'll stay on Reagan a little bit longer. Number 4,
whoa,
Ronnie Reagan.
Number 4.
Ronald Reagan.
All right, let's hear some stats.
So he reduced inflation. It was 12.5% under Jimmy Carter, one of the worst presidents ever, hint, hint.
Nice guy, though.
Nice guy.
Seems like a good guy.
Terrible president.
Yeah. Those things can be both be true. Let's just say that, right?
I agree. Yeah.
This is how they were as a president.
He's done a lot after being a president too.
I bring that up because there have been some popular presidents recently that seem like decent people.
Yeah.
But not good policy-wise.
I agree. So Ronnie Reagan reduced inflation from 12.5%, which was in Jimmy Carter's last year, to 4.5% his last year. He reduced unemployment from 7.5% to 5.4%. He had a real GDP of 3.4% and a high of 8% GDP. That's crazy. Reduced taxes, free market guy, gets an A in my book.
Yeah. And the thing about trickle-down economics that when I was doing some Reagan research is they don't happen overnight. Like, you don't implement these cuts and these policies and 2 months later everything's trickles down. No, it takes a while. And from what I remember researching was towards the end of his first term, those policies really started to show their merit, right? And so he gets reelected, and then things kind of really took off his second term.
Okay.
All right.
Go for it.
I am really, really anxious to see what you think about this next one. This is the one, I don't know where you're going to be on this.
Okay.
Because this guy kind of, both sides of the aisle a little bit, whatever. Teddy. I know you're
okay.
not an FDR guy.
He's
Teddy.
okay.
Teddy, you being a self-proclaimed libertarian / isolationist that you won't admit, Teddy did some things. First of all, he was really good with foreign policy, but you being a libertarian, you don't want any foreign policy, so that's
not exactly the truth.
Hey, Panama Canal. Hey, speak softly and carry a big stick. Hey, better working conditions for workers across. This is where I tread off. I like a lot of libertarian stuff. This is where I tread off it a little bit. Free market is good 99% of the time. But there are some times, and some of it to me is affected by history, where these big, corporations, and he went after J.P. Morgan, they control so much and they're not going to change. So he had to do some regulation to get better working conditions for people, and it made a big impact in a positive way.
So I think he also was responsible for the FDA after, wasn't it the Jungle?
So. Yes, the Jungle. Yes.
Don't read that book.
No.
Yes. We had to read it in high school, I think.
Yeah. But the Panama Canal, that was interesting, right? Colombia owned that area, and they weren't negotiating. So Teddy backs I don't know what it was. He backs this independent group that eventually wins, and they form the country of Panama, and he had a deal with them. Hey, if you get your country, we get to make the canal.
I respect Teddy Roosevelt. Hell, he's on Mount Rushmore. He must have done something right.
What do you think FDR? He's one of the most popular.
I do not like FDR.
All right.
And the New Deal. Okay, my turn?
Your turn, number 3.
G-Dubs, the original G-Dubs,
yep.
George Washington.
Standard setter.
Exactly. So, great leader, great military leader. Set the precedent of not wanting to be like king-like. Had to go through everything that was new, obviously, new country, new challenges. I think he did as best as he could.
Yeah, we're going to spend a little bit more time on him. Number 2, George.
2, go for it.
George Washington, being the first president, and you do some research on him, he defined the office of the President of the United States. And he set a precedent that has really been followed ever since.
Yep.
And when you think about what he could have done, because he was so popular, he could have basically given himself more power, more control, been more of a dictator. In fact, they would have probably liked him to stay on and be like a king, and he turned it down. And he voluntarily left office after 2 terms because he thought it was what was best for the country.
Yep.
The guy's track record of being a leader is just impeccable. He surrounded himself with, really strong people, and then would lead and make decisions based on their input. One of the things I was watching on him said he had the best cabinet there has ever been.
Yeah, he had Jefferson,
Secretary
Hamilton,
of State, Hamilton, Secretary of the Treasury, and
Adams. Adams was vice president.
Knox or something for the war.
Knox,
yeah. So
crazy.
He just did so many things and was the right person, it seems like, for that time, right? If you would have taken one of our greedier presidents and put them in there, things could have started off pretty poorly.
Not good. So I think we're going to be on this next one for a little while.
Yes.
My number 2.
Yep.
Honest Abe.
Yeah. And
he's
my
Abe.
number 1 best.
So
go ahead.
Listen. My 1 and 2 are pretty much interchangeable.
But you picked you're a fanboy.
I'm a fanboy.
Fanboy.
Abraham Lincoln, there's obvious reasons why he's very popular. Slavery issue addressed was kind of controversial at first, was kind of reluctant, but ultimately made the right choice. After the war, he showed a lot of civility and kind of like the trying to bring back the country, reunite or reunification of the country. What else? What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, just watch the movie about him that was in the last few years. It wasn't getting the 13th Amendment passed was not, there was strategy involved, right? It wasn't just, well, let's go vote. Everybody agrees with it. And he knew how to lead that effort. I can't think I've ever read a bad thing about Abraham Lincoln. Same with Washington, really. There was the only thing that comes close was that the what's I'm looking for the campaign between him and Douglas was really dirty.
What campaign isn't?
Well, yeah, but it was like during this last one, the Trump and Hillary, there was scholars saying, yeah, it's bad, but there have been other bad ones, and I think that's the one they pointed to was really heated. So, he kind of maybe did some things strategically that were a little shady, but his foresight was, this is what's best for the country. And look, history shows now, everybody says every president gets evaluated years later, right? We get to look back and see. History shows he was right.
Yep.
Quite frankly, he was just right.
Yep. Agreed.
So, number one. Look, and no president on this list probably has a bigger single achievement, even that guy,
Thomas Jefferson.
Essentially ending slavery, right?
True. However, being the principal author of the Declaration of Independence, kind of a big deal. Thomas Jefferson.
Was he president when he did that?
No, he wasn't.
Okay, so this is about presidents.
He reduced the federal debt from $83 million to $53 million when he took office. He attempted to dismantle the national bank that was set up by, I believe it was Hamilton.
Did it work?
Nope.
Did he then use it to finance the Louisiana Purchase?
He seized an opportunity to buy the Louisiana Purchase to make sure Napoleon stayed out of our business and the French weren't a threat. The Senate approved it 24-7 because he didn't think he could do it as president. He went to the Senate, which was the right thing to do. Wasn't great on slaves and the Indians. That's not good to talk about. So we won't.
Yeah, a little different than old I have a serious question because I don't know.
Yep.
I'm not even going to say it. Go ahead. There's no way to.
There's
no delicate way to ask that question.
Yep.
So yeah, not good.
Just a big fan. He didn't like etiquette, so he would stable his horse himself when he got back to the White House.
He was known to frequently answer the door of the White House. Actually, it was the Executive Mansion, I think it was called then, himself. He was really kind of a strange dude. He put himself off as a man of the people, but he lived in what's his place called? Monticello. He was rich,
but he was a man of many trades. He was surveyor. Was it a lawyer? He also was good with his hands, good with making things.
How do you know he was good with his hands?
It's what my research said. Anyway, TJ, number 1. So that was our top 5 presidents.
I would say the biggest surprise on either list was Calvin Coolidge.
It's not a surprise when you think about when I rank presidents, I look at free market, laissez-faire. I look at who has a lot of libertarian values. Calvin Coolidge.
So I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this list of, I don't forget who put this together. This is a ranker. And I'm going to do it by, so they have Abraham Lincoln 1, FDR 2.
Terrible. Number 1 worst president, Woodrow Wilson.
Washington 3, Teddy 4, Jefferson 5. A guy we didn't mention that I don't think was too bad at all for 6, Truman. What do you think about old Truman? Yeah, no? Woodrow Wilson.
Terrible. 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 You can thank him for the Fed.
Then that's why you hate the Fed.
God.
Dwight Eisenhower. Then Andy Jackson.
Andrew Jackson. Triple E Pirates.
Listen, Andrew Jackson. Would you agree? Him, who I'd probably say Washington's still number one. Andy number two for toughest president of all time.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to cross Andrew Jackson.
Like, you wouldn't want to cross him, but I mean, GW's a big dude, man.
Yeah.
Riding, I think his horse was named Nelson. Kennedy.
I respect Kennedy.
Yeah.
I got a lot of respect because he also tried to dismantle or take a lot of power away from some of the federal agencies. So
quick mention that Democrats of Kennedy a lot different than Democrats today.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I would say Democrats of Kennedy.
Speaking of Democrats today, next on this list is Obama. Then Polk. Moving on. Then Polk.
Responsible for Washington, Oregon, California, and Texas.
Lyndon Johnson, James Madison. You can just interrupt if I'm just going to go through this.
LBJ.
John Adams. Then Reagan. Wade. No, that's bad. Monroe, Clinton, McKinley. Then, this was my pop quiz I forgot to ask you. Who is the only president to ever serve 2 non-consecutive terms?
It's not Harrison.
No. Anybody on the chat? Anybody on the chat?
It's not Taft.
No.
It's in that era. It's like
Grover Cleveland.
Damn it.
Cleveland rocks. Then John Quincy Adams. Then George H.W. Bush.
G-Dubs.
No, that's H-Dubs.
G.H. Dubs. Okay.
G.H. Dubs. Then Taft, Van Buren, Rutherford B. Hayes. Who was the president that only lived like 3 months into his presidency and he died or something? There was one. Anyways. Martin Van Buren. Oh, no, I already did. So after Hayes, it's Ford, Carter, Chester A. Arthur, James Garfield, Calvin Coolidge, Benjamin Harrison, George W. Bush.
Dubs
is one I think about when I think about he had to deal with some really tough situations.
Yeah.
And look, he's not on my list.
No free pass.
He's not on my list. Not saying he was the best. I think in hindsight, that's going to come up.
Yeah, there's just, I'm not going to get into it, but.
The weapons of mass destruction thing, but it's like, my question is, and I'm not saying that was a good thing. Obviously, history tells you, as we said before, sometimes history with Lincoln, you turn out to be right. With Dubs on mass destruction, turned out to be wrong, right? Fair to say?
Very
wrong, right?
Yes.
But after 9/11, you know what I mean? You got to put it in context. And then you had the whole stock market, housing market thing, which it wasn't his. That was
Greenspan's fault.
A lot of Clinton era.
It was
stuff,
Greenspan.
Right? Yeah. So, anyways, moving on.
Thank you, Greenspan.
Nixon, Hubert Hoover, Zachary Taylor, Ulysses S. Grant, John Tyler, William Henry Harrison, Millard Fillmore, Franklin Pierce. He's one I forget was even a president. Andrew Johnson. He was terrible. You go from the best all-time Lincoln to him. Warren G. Harding, James Buchanan. And
I think we're good.
And then this has Trump at the bottom, but I think that's partly because he hasn't.
We gotta wait and see.
You gotta wait and see.
Yep. Jury's still out.
Oh, look. Rankings by liberals and conservatives. This is interesting. Is that just saying... Well, anyways, we can talk about this forever.
So that was our top 5 presidents. Next week will be a new top 5. Again, if you want to hear about... Do you know
what it is?
I do.
Do I know what it is?
I texted you it.
Okay. You're not going to tease it?
Top 5.
Let's tease.
Superheroes.
That's okay.
Top 5 superheroes. I texted it to you saying, hey, let's do this one.
All right.
If there's other top 5s you want to hear, you know how to use the comment section.
All right.
Comment.
All right, let's get to the rant.
Weekly rant. People wait for this every week. I am excited to hear Tyler's weekly rant.
I tease that I think that most people will agree with this rant of the week. I know you've heard me rant about this before. Ready?
I'm ready. I'm on the edge of my seat.
Do you have any guesses about what it is?
No idea.
Bathroom etiquette.
Can't wait to hear it.
I'm not talking about in your home where you can do whatever you want. I'm talking about public restroom bathroom etiquette. I have no idea what goes on in a women's bathroom, obviously. So I'm speaking about men's bathrooms. You know, this is what I'm talking about. There are rules.
I want to hear them.
There are rules that need to be followed in a bathroom, and they are broken constantly. Okay? Number 1, we've talked about before, pretty easy, wash your hands with soap and water. Right?
That's pretty easy. Pretty standard.
Pretty simple. Number 2, don't talk to me.
Even if you're washing your hands, can you talk to
No.
Like both of you are washing your hands?
If you're like, to me, if you're like passing through the door, like, you know, you open it and somebody's going out, a quick excuse me or a hi, how you doing? But I don't want to talk to people in the bathroom. And I don't want to disturb someone else who might want some peace by my talking.
Okay.
So it's really a good rule of thumb, never talk in a public restroom. Okay. Number 3. Now this is where it gets a little complicated, and maybe, I don't know if it's the same for women. You have to choose wisely, and every bathroom is different here. Choose wisely where you go based on the current surroundings, which are dynamic.
Sure.
Here's what I'm talking about. Example, if there's 3 urinals and you walk in and all urinals are empty, you take one of the edge urinals. You don't go to the middle, right?
Yeah.
You agree with that?
I agree with
that.
Right? Yep.
Okay. If one of the edges is taken and you come in and you're number 2, you're the next guy, which do you pick? You don't slide right up next to and be buddies with the guy. You skip a urinal, right?
You leave space.
And in my opinion, if both the edges are taken, you go to a stall. I don't want to be pee buddies. I don't know if that makes me weird. I don't want to be pee buddies.
Okay.
All right?
I'm with you.
There's weird people out there. All right? I'm not judging. I'm just saying there are. Would you agree? You don't know what you're going to find.
There's different people, yes.
Different. Politically correct way of saying it. All right? Now, let's get to the stalls. Same rules apply for the stalls. Use an edge one, skip one. Here's an extra rule for the stall. I don't think this applies. I hope it doesn't apply to a urinal, but maybe in a stall. Don't talk on your phone while you're in a stall.
Yeah.
I don't care if you have a headset. I don't care. Don't talk on your phone.
At my previous employer,
yeah,
I was in a stall, and right next to me, someone was in the stall on the phone with somebody. It was someone from a help desk trying to help somebody while they're on the pot.
Yeah. Go ahead and reboot that.
Yeah. Terrible.
Yeah. No, it's bad, right? Now, here's the so those are my rules. That's why this is a rant. I see this broken far too often. The only one I'm a little lenient on is the talking, but it's only like you don't do it at a urinal or stall. Maybe a hand washing if it's someone you like know really well.
Talking about stalls and bathrooms.
Yeah.
Have we talked about the time where you accidentally walked in on someone that didn't?
No,
have we talked?
That wasn't me.
But have we talked about this?
No.
Yet.
We won't talk about that today.
Okay.
But here's the question I have. Here's the dilemma for the stall. What do you do with the handicap stall? I notice a lot of people who are not handicapped, they'll go in, and if the handicap stall is open, they use it. I don't know. Maybe that's completely fine and normal. I don't know what the rule is. What's the rule?
In some instances, it's the only stall.
That's different. I'm talking about when all the stalls are available, or another one, and you go to the handicap stall.
I don't. I go to the one on the far right. If the one on the far right by the wall isn't open,
that's usually the handicap stall.
That's the left. If I walk...
Well, your bathroom's different. There's only... I'm thinking about my work. Anyways, you generally take the furthest open stall away from the handicap.
Yep. And if it's not open, I will seek another restroom.
Now, I'll admit, I tried the handicap stall once. See what the hype was all about, right? Nice, you get some more space, but that toilet's too hot. I just feel weird up there. As George Costanza said, I feel like a gargoyle perched up there.
Oh, Lordy. This wasn't...
Yes. One of our listeners, or our viewers, I meant to mention this in my rules and I forgot. Thank you for reminding me, Paniac. Courtesy flush. We don't want to smell it, right? And we're going to smell something that's normal. But hey, don't let it float, baby. Or don't let it sink, whatever. As soon as you get it out, do a courtesy flush. You're not paying for the water anyways. Flush. Courtesy flush is a big deal. That's a great call.
What happens when you see somebody exit the restroom without washing their hands? Do you say anything?
I haven't yet. I will tell you, though, and in the last month or so, I watched a guy appeared from the stall directly out the door, and I stared him down, and he saw me staring at him. But he was in that position of, crap, I can't stop and go back now, right?
Yeah, you're caught.
But I gave him the look like, I know what you're doing. I know exactly what you're doing. I know what you just did, and you're nasty. And I want you to know that I know that you're nasty. Now go touch that door handle and everything else and the coffee and everything else and totally disrespect all your coworkers because you don't give up.
I wouldn't consider this a rant.
That's not a rant?
This is not a rant. You're not visibly yelling or you're not talking in a different...
Well, because you yelled at me last time and said that because we don't have a producer, we had to fire the producer because he didn't show up.
Listen,
there's no one to adjust my levels, and so the audio goes.
Listen, if that producer wants to come and help, we may need some help here the next couple weeks because I've got a story that will require a remote teller of the story. It's a good story that deals with Sammy Sosa.
Okay.
Anyway, weekly rant?
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Awesome. So,
like I said, it's not a controversial rant this time.
I don't think it's not, but it's
maybe one it's more fun if it's controversial. Next week's rant probably not going to be as controversial either. Maybe a little bit more, but still not as much.
So next week we won't be live, but we will.
Why would you tell people that?
We will stream. Because I'm not going to be able to respond to comments like I'm responding to the chat here.
I could be like on there watching it when it runs, like, yeah.
Okay.
But then I wouldn't be able to actually respond here.
Exactly. I mean, we could both be live responding to comments, but I'll be...
Wait a minute. What is proud poppers that leave... Oh, evidence behind. I assume a proud pop... I haven't encountered as many proud poppers, I guess. You know what that is?
No.
I'm inferring that means that people who don't flush their stuff just leave it. They're proud
Why would you do that?
Leave it for someone to see. That's bad.
Why would you do that?
As soon as I see a stall like that, I don't touch it. I go elsewhere.
Out. Okay, so like I said, next week we'll still be having some streaming happening. We'll be talking about a new Joe story. This one deals with a fertility clinic, an actual story.
I think I've heard this one.
That involves me and a fertility clinic.
Wonder what you did there.
Top 5.
Put the kiddos to bed.
A new top 5. A new looking back. We still need to pick a category for looking back.
Yep. There's plenty to look back on.
And a Tyler's Rant. So subscribe if you haven't already subscribed.
Up to 24.
24. If we get to 1,000, I'm buying that guy a chair. So help us get to 1,000 subscribers.
Why don't we try to get 100 first?
1,000. Share comment, like, help us out.
Everyone should go on Facebook and like post this.
Please.
And be like, hey,
Yes.
this is the greatest thing ever. I know.
Even if it isn't, even if you
just
it's
act
boring,
like it is.
Just act like it. Get some views. Get some subscribers. Subscribe.
Like, we're not entertaining, but we're not the worst thing on YouTube.
Yeah, we aren't. All right, guys. Appreciate it. This was fun. Comment, leave some feedback. Thanks, everyone.
Tell
See you
Joe
next
about
week.
his poopy date.
Yes.
Tell everyone about Joe's poopy date. All right, see ya.
See ya.